Good evening, I'm Andrew Cheng.
And I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Tonight, signs of hope that we are moving out of this pandemic, but those signs come with a caution.
As students return to their classrooms, their safety and the safety of staff remain my #1 priority.
Most kids in Alberta are heading back to class, and in the U.S., a more than 400-day shutdown ends in New York City.
I think we're ready to show the world how it's done.
The delicate balance of removing restrictions.
Plus,
the cases will likely rise given the variants of concern.
Serious questions about Ontario's third wave and what wasn't done when doctors warned it was coming.
Is that anything short, then, of an abject failure?
The fear and frustration of the doctors who advised decision makers.
And the dramatic entrance of baby Nova Marie caught on video. You have to see.
I'm having a baby side of the highway right now.
I have an ambulance on the way.
They were rushing to hospital, but the baby wouldn't wait. The heart-stopping story and their happy ending. This is The National. It has been a brutal year, full of tragic news, closed borders, and stay-at-home orders. But tonight, in what were two of North America's hottest hotspots, there are signs the tide is turning.
In Alberta and New York City, places where COVID-19 cases broke records. Today, important step towards a return to normal.
So first, we want to show you the changing story of the vaccine rollout. You know Canada has trailed behind the United States, with supply issues slowing things down here early on. But since last month, that's changed, and fast. Canada's rollout has accelerated dramatically. In the U.S., it's leveling off. When it comes to the percentage of those who've received at least one dose as of tonight, Canada and the U.S. have both given shots to nearly 48% of eligible people.
Now let's take you to Alberta, where students and teachers will lead the charge back to normal. Next week, they're going back to class. Here's Carolyn Dunn.
Even though they're able to sneak in some outdoor time during a break from remote learning, the Gunn family is looking forward to getting back to the classroom on Tuesday.
With multiple devices and structuring their learning and then your things that you need to do during the day, it's nice to have that break and have them see their friends and learn from proper educators.
Alberta announced almost all kids from kindergarten to grade 12 can return to school.
I'm confident students will finish this challenging school year learning in their classrooms.
The exception, the Fort McMurray area, where new COVID caseloads aren't dropping like the rest of the province. When classes went online last month, hundreds of schools had outbreaks or COVID alerts. The province's chief medical officer says the return to school is safe because community transmission fuels school cases, not the other way around.
We have not seen that schools, as we've been watching our case counts and our outbreaks, they have not been a significant driver of community spread.
But not everyone reads the numbers the same way.
It's this denial that schools lead to cases. Well, if schools don't lead to cases, why is it that moving schools online significantly drops cases every single time we do it?
Russell Brooker is not looking forward to his return to the classroom. He says physical distancing is impossible at his junior high, and he's worried he'll bring the virus home to his father, who has underlying health conditions.
If my family was in full health, I'm a young enough kid that I would probably survive COVID-19. But I don't really want to take that risk and bring it to my dad. He would not make it.
A heavy burden for a 15-year-old, but something many families in Alberta will be thinking about before the first bell rings next week. Carolyn Dunn, CBC News, Calgary.
New guidelines for how to store the Pfizer vaccine could have big implications for the rollout in this country and around the world. Up until now, it's required ultra-cold temperatures, making storage and distribution particularly tricky. But today, Health Canada said the vaccine can now be kept in standard refrigerators for up to a month. Experts say the new flexibility has the potential to break down barriers to access for vaccines in remote and other high-risk communities.
Well, good news from Ontario tonight. Some non-urgent surgeries have been given the green light to resume at some hospitals as the province records its lowest COVID-19 case count in more than 2 months. Ontario's top doctor gave the go-ahead, citing that downward trend in new cases, hospitalizations, ICU admissions. 1,588 new cases were reported today, dropping Ontario's 7-day average to just under 2,200. That's the lowest it's been since the end of March.
New York City was once a global COVID epicenter. The bustling streets quieted over a more than 400-day shutdown. Thousands died in overflowing hospitals. But what a difference 14 months makes. New York City, as well as New York State and neighboring New Jersey and Connecticut, are reopening today. The CBC's new correspondent in New York, Chris Reyes, has that story.
By Times Square standards, still a thin crowd. But with restrictions easing, expect that to change quickly.
We're just here for today, but we'll probably come back.
The diversity of everyone coming.
That's exactly what the head of NYC's post-COVID tourism campaign wants to hear.
We were the epicenter of the coronavirus, and now we want to return to our reputation as a tourism capital.
The campaign slogan, NYC Reawakens, an injection of hope after a year of pain. 30,000 people died here, and the city saw one of the strictest lockdowns in the United States. Now officials are betting on a big summer comeback.
This has been a long process. It's been a gradual process, but we have taken our time. We've done it very carefully. We have engaged our citizens. We've rolled out a very comprehensive vaccination program, and I think we're ready to show the world how it's done.
And that starts with lifting most capacity restrictions. Venues will only be limited by how many people can fit while staying 6 feet apart. The biggest change, the fully vaccinated don't need to wear a mask. And in outdoor venues like Yankee Stadium, they can be seated at full capacity. This epidemiologist is optimistic, but also a little nervous.
I think the public's ready to get back to normal. If I were calling the shots, I probably would wait a little bit longer, maybe into June.
Inside the Westin Times Square, they're ready. This is the biggest hotel to reopen in New York City so far.
To be able to open the hotel and to lift the restrictions in New York, I think is really a beacon of light.
It's definitely a symbol of hope in the heart of Times Square. We're going into recovery mode and we're really excited to be part of the journey.
This is just the beginning of this so-called reawakening. The next big date, July 1st. That's when New York City's mayor is promising that businesses can fully reopen, no restrictions. One exception, Broadway. Their target date, September. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
Now, New York wasn't the only city beginning its return to normal today. Big cheers in Paris as businesses opened their doors to the public once again. After a 6-month lockdown, French bars, shops, and cultural spaces like museums reopened today as the country loosened certain COVID-19 restrictions. Officials say more could reopen next month if the case counts stay low.
Well, today a key witness testified at a coroner's inquiry into Joyce Echaquan's death, an incident that highlighted the issue of racism in Canadian healthcare. Echaquan, an Indigenous woman, died at a Quebec hospital after she filmed staff making derogatory comments towards her. As Alison Northcott explains today, an orderly defended those comments.
A sign of solidarity in memory of Joyce Echaquan ahead of a difficult day for her family. The video Echaquan filmed from her hospital bed showing staff mocking her and making racist remarks was played in the courtroom for the first time. It's what led to this inquiry, and it left Echaquan's family in tears. They also heard testimony from an orderly who was recorded on the video, whose name is under a publication ban. She said her comments telling Echaquan she had made bad choices and asking her what her children would think to see her like this were misinterpreted and not meant to be unkind. But the coroner said her tone was full of judgment.
I think everybody was stunned by the way she was explaining herself. It's kind of hard to hear.
In other testimony, nurses and orderlies detailed the hours before Echaquan's death, how she became agitated, was sedated, restrained to her bed, then left unsupervised. When an orderly went into her room later, she said Echaquan didn't appear to be breathing.
We have heard a very long list of shortcomings in the hospital administration of the emergency room, including the use of restraints on patients, essentially, that was done completely outside of the established protocol.
Echaquan's video raised the issue of racism in the healthcare system. Michelle Audet is a commissioner for the National Inquiry into Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women and Girls. She's here to support Echaquan's family.
The provincial government and the federal government cannot pretend now that it's an isolated situation, but it's a situation that woke us up so badly that we need now to act.
The orderly in the video said if she could do it again, she would be more delicate in her comments. A lawyer for the Atikamekw Council of Manawan, where Echaquan was from, said he was insulted by her testimony. The inquiry is expected to hear from more healthcare workers tomorrow. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Trois-Rivières, Quebec.
An isolated Manitoba First Nation hit hard by COVID-19 is now reeling from a suicide crisis. Shamattawa's chief has declared a state of emergency after losing his own sister, and a 7-year-old boy tried to take his own life. Karen Paul shows us how this tragedy fits into a growing mental health crisis among Canada's kids.
For Shamattawa Chief Eric Redhead, this crisis is personal.
The single mother of 4 who passed was actually my only sibling.
He's called a state of emergency as a community mourns 2 young women who died by suicide and an unrelated 7-year-old boy who's in hospital after a serious attempt just days later.
The concerning thing is when we have one, we often see copycats or a domino effect.
Mobile crisis teams are being sent to the remote community, but he's asking for more help from Ottawa, specifically child and adolescent mental health support.
Typical response of the federal government, it's fluff, we're here for you. Until I see boots on the ground, I will not be satisfied.
We'll get them whatever they need as quickly as possible.
The Indigenous Services Minister says 2 mental health therapists are on their way to the community. Ottawa is also looking at longer-term solutions.
What we've realized quite quickly is you can't do good public policy by crisis.
I'm baffled that he would say that. I know when the crisis is over, the conversation tends to stop.
Health experts across Canada are already fighting to have that conversation, launching a national campaign, Code Pink, to draw attention to how the pandemic is fueling the mental health crisis.
Now, the loss of one child is too many. To think of a child as young as 7 attempting suicide is gravely concerning.
This advocate says hospital admissions for attempted suicides have, on average, doubled during the pandemic, and 70% of kids aged 6 to 18 say the pandemic has harmed their mental health.
We need all of our leaders at the table now, putting together an emergency plan to get our kids through the weeks and months ahead of us.
The people of Shamattawa are measuring their crisis in hours and days, trying to stem a flood of despair before it takes any more lives. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
And remember, if you need help, it's out there. Contact the Canada Suicide Prevention Hotline or visit crisisservicescanada.ca. You can also call Kids Help Phone or visit kidshelpphone.ca.
An update now into the ongoing investigation of the man formerly in charge of Canada's vaccine rollout, Major General Dany Fortin. The Canadian Forces now confirms a branch of military police investigated an allegation of sexual misconduct involving Fortin and has now referred the matter to a Quebec prosecutor to decide whether charges should be laid. Fortin stepped down from his role overseeing Canada's vaccine rollout on Friday ahead of this development. Quebec is where the incident allegedly occurred, and the Director of Criminal and Penal Prosecutions is the only one who has the authority to lay charges.
Let's turn now to the story in the Middle East tonight. 10 days of bloodshed, and yet both sides continue fighting. One goal for Israel's Prime Minister is that Hamas militants should not be able to claim a win.
If the perception is that they gained a victory, that is a defeat for all of us.
So Israel has struck more Hamas targets, and civilians are also dying. Among those killed today, this man's brother, niece, and pregnant sister-in-law. Militant rocket fire continues into Israel's south. Air raid sirens still echo dozens of times a day. But Katie Simpson shows us pressure for a ceasefire also continues. And there's a signal from one side it could come soon.
Children bundle the few things that can be salvaged. This home in South Gaza was destroyed by an Israeli airstrike as the sun rose. Ahmad al-Astal lived there. This behind us reflects the humanity in them, he says. Despite repeated bombardment by Israeli forces, Palestinian militants were still able to fire rockets into the Israeli city of Ashdod, sending people running for their lives and damaging buildings. Streaks mark the sky elsewhere, showing the rockets intercepted by Israel's defense system. After 10 days of fighting, 12 deaths in Israel and more than 200 deaths in Gaza, including dozens of children, there may finally be a breakthrough. A top Hamas official told Lebanese TV he expects there will be a ceasefire within a day or two, even though hours earlier, Israel's prime minister showed no sign of changing course.
We are engaged right now in forceful deterrence, but I have to say we don't rule out anything. We hope we can restore quiet. We hope we can restore it quickly.
Benjamin Netanyahu defended the actions of the military amid growing international pressure to ease up.
Mr. President, what did you say to Mr. Netanyahu?
During a phone call, President Joe Biden told Netanyahu he expects a significant de-escalation on the path to a ceasefire today. There are concerns the conflict could expand. Israeli police dug up the remains of a rocket, one of 4 aimed at the country's north from Lebanon. No one has claimed responsibility. Israel returned fire with no damage on either side.
Every single day that continues without a ceasefire, each side trying to get their victory image, and the other side, of course, then feeling that it has to strike back.
The president of the Palestinian Authority in the occupied West Bank says that what's happened in Gaza amounts to war crimes and that he won't spare any efforts to bring those responsible in front of international courts. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
For some Canadians watching this conflict, the violence hits way too close to home. They have family in the line of fire. You will hear their voices later in the show.
Well, here at home, rising prices are adding more pain to the pandemic. A new economic report reveals the worst inflation in a decade, largely fueled by the spiking cost of fuel itself, and all when many Canadians are counting every penny. Kyle Bax has the damage report.
At this shop, expenses are piling up. It's not just because of the cost of lumber, but every material used to make furniture. Some supplies have doubled in price, others have quadrupled. And those higher costs are being passed on to the consumer.
40 years of business, this is the first year of turbulence like this in price increases.
And with inflation now rising at its fastest pace in a decade, this shop is not alone. Price tags are climbing on just about everything, everywhere. Today, Statistics Canada says the average cost of many products is up almost 3.5% compared to a year ago, when the world was locked down and prices plummeted in the earliest days of the pandemic. But plenty of people are still feeling the pain. Prices at the pump are a big reason why. A tank of gasoline is now costing Canadians 60% more than it did last year.
We are still seeing a pretty significant take-up for fuel in terms of diesel and gasoline, and that in turn is driving pretty much the cost of living up everywhere.
Experts do say rising prices could just be temporary, though the situation might get worse before it gets better. When everyone is out of lockdown and ready to spend, demand for products will likely be intense, driving prices even higher.
Markets are sort of getting concerned about whether this could be more permanent than maybe we know at the moment. That's an open question. We can't answer that with just 1 month's data.
For businesses like this furniture shop, one strategy is to stockpile materials to guard against future price increases, which seem to keep coming month after month.
It's just becoming very difficult. We have customers that are finding it very hard to buy from us.
For now, all they can do is charge what they have to until prices stabilize. Kyle Bax, CBC News, Calgary.
A pretty dramatic scene played out on the side of a highway in Ontario, all captured on video.
No.
Right after this, the incredible birth story of baby Nova Marie. You have got to see this.
Plus, prominent doctors give a surprisingly frank account of just how hard it was to be heard as they warned of what would be a devastating third wave.
There was such a discrepancy between what needed to happen and what was happening.
Tell me what you want, what you like, it's okay.
And singer Demi Lovato reveals they're non-binary, Canadians in the LGBTQ community, and what it means to them. We're back in 2.
Baby, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry.
Hey, welcome back. Before we say anything else, this next story, we just have to say it ends well, spectacularly well, in fact, with a healthy baby girl and parents who now have a heck of a tale to tell.
No kidding. Last week, the family of 4 became a family of 5 in just about the most dramatic way possible. When it was clear baby was on the way, they tried to get to the hospital, but they could not get there fast enough. And with the camera rolling the whole time, what happened next is now bringing joy to so many more people. Natalie Kalata takes us through it.
I just think my water just broke.
This is how the story starts. Erica Campbell convinced she had time before baby number 3 entered the world.
So let me shower.
So you're gonna take a shower?
Yeah.
Dad, Troy, less so.
I think we should go.
As her first contractions got closer together, the Whitby, Ontario couple got on the move, stressed but still cool.
We still have to decide on middle names.
The camera rolled to capture the birth story on video, but as they hit the highway, worry set in.
She went from let's chill, let's take a shower to you better hurry.
The baby decided to cut to the chase.
I gotta push.
You gotta push? What do you mean you gotta push?
On the side of the highway, 11 minutes from the hospital.
Babe, is the baby coming?
Yes!
Okay, I'm pulling over.
They made 2 frantic calls to the midwife and 911.
I'm having the baby side of the highway right now. I can see the baby's head is out.
The ambulance wasn't there yet, but Nova Marie Campbell was on her way. The drama about to get so much more intense.
Baby's out, baby's out, baby's out, baby's out, baby's with mommy. Jesus.
Do not hang up. I want you to hold the baby against your chest, Erica.
Yeah.
What's the vehicle description?
White Dodge Ram. White Dodge Ram.
Is the baby crying, Erica?
No, not yet.
Okay, you're doing a good job, okay? Tell her to take slow, deep breaths. Do not pull on anything.
Not pulling.
Okay.
Cold.
Is the baby crying? Wipe its mouth.
Yes, thank God.
It was a very, very, very scary 20 seconds.
I just wanted the baby to cry, so that was my first concern.
Now home, everyone's safe, healthy, and happy. Nova Marie's arrival continues to bring joy.
It was a great moment to have been captured.
The couple posted the video online. It's generated thousands of views and many congratulations.
There's so much stuff on TV right now that, kind of puts people in a bad mood. And to share something like this, like so many people are telling me like this video is making them feel good.
Adding a little brightness and love in the middle of the pandemic. Natalie Kalata, CBC News, Whitby, Ontario.
Did you find yourself holding your breath, waiting for the baby to cry?
Yeah.
Amazing. These are the people you want with you in a crisis.
Yeah, I have to say, I've watched that video now a couple times. It very nearly brings me to tears every single time I watch it. Nova Marie, what an incredible name. Congratulations, folks. That's amazing.
American pop star Demi Lovato has come out as non-binary, meaning they don't identify as a man or a woman. And many people who share that identity are celebrating the announcement.
Baby, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry.
The pop star will use they and them pronouns.
Thought when I grew up I would be the same.
Lovato, who got their start on a Disney show, says they've dealt with a lot of pressure in the music industry and that the decision to come out as non-binary came after a lot of healing and reflection.
I feel that this best represents the fluidity I feel in my gender expression and allows me to feel most authentic and true to the person I both know I am and still am discovering.
Tell me what you want, what you like, it's okay. I'm a little curious too.
They've received a surge of support online from fans and members of the LGBTQ community. To have such a superstar come out as non-binary means a lot for many.
Queer young people look to folks in the media as role models. They feel a sense of being valued.
To me, as someone who uses they, them pronouns, who is non-binary,
it's so uplifting to see.
Lovato says they hope their announcement helps people who may be struggling with their own identity.
Well, Ontario's COVID cases are falling, but before then, top doctors pleaded with the government to get it under control.
I'm at a loss still.
I speak with those doctors about their advice and the government's response. Next. Welcome back. When it comes to COVID-19, Canada is undeniably in a better place than it was just a few weeks ago. Cases are down, vaccinations are up. But let us not forget how difficult a road that was, especially here in Ontario, where for a time there seemed to be this growing disconnect between what the medical community said needed to be done and what the province was actually able or willing to do. Tonight, we hear directly from doctors in key positions who struggled to walk the fine line between public health and politics.
Many hospitals in the GTA continue to be overwhelmed, having to move
We are
patients
deep
to
into
less
wave
crowded
3. We knew what should have been done a year ago. There's really no excuse.
Ontario's third wave, deadly and devastating, yet very much a crisis predicted. We sat down with 3 doctors, all with open lines of communication to government, but with different windows onto the same urgent problem: how to avoid the disaster they saw coming. Dr. Adelstein Brown, considered the brilliant modeler and main point of contact between science and the Ontario government. His job, present the data.
If we could put the slides up, please.
And Dr. Brown's modeling would eventually make clear if Ontario crossed the red line of 800 patients in intensive care, people would die, whether through a lack of beds or a lack of people to care for them. Before long, Ontario had 900 patients in intensive care.
Am I missing something here, or is this presentation actually predicting a disaster?
No, I don't think you're missing anything. The cases will likely rise given the variants of concern, but there are a number of things that need to be weighed in making these decisions.
The number 800 is seared into my head. You had established that as or at least my interpretation of it was that this was a kind of red line, where if you crossed that red line, I mean, we've crossed it.
Yep.
Is that anything short, then, of an abject failure?
So I believe we could have done more to prevent the spread. What we've really got to do is get it under control and bring it down to a level that we can actually keep the health system running.
So it kind of keeps bringing me back to the same question over and over again.
Right.
How do you explain the inability or unwillingness of the government to follow what seems like pretty clear, obvious advice?
So I think it's an issue of weighing things differently. When we're giving this advice, we are really focused on how to get the pandemic under control. And that's really our sort of primary focus on this. They're weighing other things when they make those decisions.
But should those other things carry the weight of the factors that you are considering? Because what it sounds like is that to do anything short of what you suggest is a pretty clear forfeiture of human life.
Sure, there's a short term and there's a long term on this, right? It's my belief that the faster we get it under control, the faster that we get back to a normal way of interacting, the faster that we can have things open, the faster that we've got kids back at school. And I can understand that. And, if you're someone who runs a small business, if you're someone who runs a restaurant, if you're someone who runs a bar, and if you're someone in government who represents those people, there's a lot of reasons why you'd want to reject that outright. But we're not the decision makers.
The most devastating impact of COVID infection is in Ontario's Peel region. Just outside Toronto, it's where working from home is often impossible, and that so many families have so many people, several generations living under one roof. It's what some call the perfect pandemic storm. Enter Dr. Lawrence Lowe, Peel's Chief Medical Officer of Health. He's had to move fast and at times on his own, closing bars and businesses, shutting down schools. He even took on Amazon, closing 2 of its facilities. There seems to be this big chasm there where the way you want to go about it is, I mean, you've made some pretty clear requests of the province, whether it be the stay-at-home order, whether it be a reevaluation of what businesses are essential, regional travel restrictions, all of these sorts of things that the province had been seemingly hesitant to implement. So how do you explain the gap?
You know, it's a good question. Any sort of differences in opinion or approach are just ongoing efforts of our ability of the ongoing collaborative and consensus sort of nature of work that I think all of us strive to work towards, really.
Is it really just a difference of opinion, though? I mean, this seems to be about disagreement on epidemiology fundamentals, no?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where I'm maybe a bit, maybe sort of struggling to answer the question, in the sense that, I'm ultimately a scientist at heart, and I have to speak to the data and the context and evidence of what I'm seeing in my community.
And what Dr. Lowe was seeing was a crisis getting worse, and government actions divorced from science. Remember this?
We're restricting all outdoor recreational amenities, such as golf courses, basketball courts, soccer fields, and playgrounds. We have made the difficult but necessary decision to give police and bylaw officers special authorities to enforce public health measures.
Those measures were a complete shock to medical experts who couldn't make any more clear. The problem was indoors, especially in crowded workplaces.
We've made very clear, inspections, investigations, ensuring that there's paid sick days, all those other pieces. And I think to the extent that the province has, through various conversations and dialogue, started to warm up to many of those ideas.
Must be frustrating for you, though, when you feel like you have such a clear idea of what does need to be done and you don't see it get done.
Yeah, I'm someone who tends to be an optimist at heart. I think in general, the focus, as I've said throughout, is really trying to work with all the different partners, but a recognition, of course, that at times we may disagree.
Thank you, everyone. Have a safe weekend. We'll get through this, I promise you.
Ontario's premier did eventually walk some of those measures back, but the whole episode raised a truly unsettling question. Was the government listening to its advisors? One of those advisors, Dr. Peter Uni, was haunted by the thought. I've heard you describe it as one of the darkest, if not the darkest moments for you so far in this pandemic. Why did you feel that way?
The first thing I actually really felt is that there was such a discrepancy between what needed to happen and what was happening that pointed towards a real misunderstanding, of the nature of this pandemic, that I just felt like a tremendous failure, personally also. This pandemic in this province being driven by essential workers and their families who are out there, and I just didn't see any of that being acknowledged. And what happened instead of is we closed playgrounds.
Do you genuinely believe at this point that this is a simple misunderstanding?
I don't know. What else is it, if not? From my perspective, it's not understanding that the pandemic is driven by indoor space that is unsafe and is driven by people who are unsafe and need to go to work anyway. It's as simple as that. But I'm at a loss, still.
When I read in the Globe that you received hate mail, but more than just hate mail, so I'll read this. Greetings, Dr. Lowe. You are a sad excuse of a person, and I want nothing but pain and suffering for you. The same pain and suffering you have caused the citizens of the region, I hope I never run into in person. F you. Do you remember getting that?
I do remember receiving that email. I think I understand, first of all, the frustration that comes from. And I understand that the person is, certainly someone who is experiencing a lot of hurt. The pandemic, I think, has really not been easy on anybody. I mean, certainly you can't help but take some of those words to heart. So, I'll read it, I'll understand where it comes from. I might hurt a little bit, briefly. I always remember that ultimately all of us actually want the same thing. We all want out of this.
There is certainly hope. more Canadians are vaccinated every single day, but there's still those who think a fourth wave is possible. So the doctor's work continues, guiding the rest of us, carrying the burden of science, and pointing to any dangers ahead.
So given what's at stake, I find that their restraint is actually quite curious, and I'm wondering how they explain that.
Yeah, it seems unreal in a way, doesn't it? I would put it this way, but both sides would probably agree that it's so important to preserve the relationship, right? Keep these open lines of communication between science and government, because I mean, the doctors, they could go in and they could start banging on doors, they could start throwing things across the room, they can get angry, but the downstream cost of sabotaging that relationship with anger could also be pretty unimaginable.
Yeah, you get kicked out of the room.
Yeah.
Should we change the tempo a little bit?
Sure.
I think we need to, because finding love online can be a struggle. 2 Canadian farmers found a very different route.
So ladies, who has been to Canada before?
From the farm to Finnish fame, 2 farmers try their luck on reality TV in Finland.
This is a change of tempo, isn't it? A bit of classical music to set you at ease. Quebec clinics are hoping to make your shot a pleasant experience. Stay with us.
Welcome back. For some Canadians, the violence and devastation in the Middle East is personal. Ellen Morrow spoke to 2 families, one with loved ones in Gaza, the other with loved ones in Israel. And while their views on the conflict may differ, both share similar fears and a sense of helplessness.
Every ring with no answer is torture for Mahmoud Al-Tayeb trying to reach his parents in Gaza. When they don't pick up, he fears the worst.
Sometimes I just want to call my parents and just cry in front of them. It's not going to be easy to tell them everything's going to be okay, because I don't believe that either.
In 2014, Al-Tayeb and his family fled their home before it was destroyed by an Israeli airstrike. Over the weekend, Al-Tayeb's friend was killed in a similar strike. Despite the violence, he wishes he was there, not wanting to live if his parents don't.
That's the mentality we all go through. If something happens to our house, it's we all go. We don't go living and regretting of, oh, I'm living, but my parents are not.
So far, Al-Tayeb's parents are okay, but that brings little comfort. Israeli airstrikes have pounded targets in Gaza. The assault, Israel says, aimed at militant groups. Gaza's health ministry says more than 220 Palestinians have been killed, including at least 60 children.
We want peace. We don't want this. We are suffering more than enough. But they don't want it. I don't see that they want it.
Israel says Palestinian militants have fired more than 4,000 rockets. Most are intercepted, but at least 12 people in Israel, including 2 children, according to the country's medical service, have been killed in the attacks.
So right now there's a missile attack in Israel.
Tammy Zalden has an app that alerts her when rockets are fired at Israel, where her sister and her family live.
In the last hour, I have over 20 here. I just keep looking for the towns where my family or my friends live and to make sure that it's not near them.
What is it like for you right now with your family in Israel?
We're just worried about hearing the alarm on my phone, but it's just the phone. We don't have to run for our lives. No one should have to live like that.
Zalden says Israel is acting in self-defense.
Thousands of missiles are coming at you. What do you got to do? What do you do? I just hope they find a way to work this out so this stops. This needs to stop.
The conflict's deep pain and division have poured out onto Canadian streets. Flashpoints of anger erupting into skirmishes. While she worries about her family far away, Zalden fears a rise in anti-Semitism at home.
If someone tries to start something with you, just don't engage, okay? And to be careful about that, okay?
So much fear, too, on the Palestinian side of a mounting death toll and that Western leaders aren't heeding their suffering.
We need them to, change policies
maybe put in sanctions in place and whatnot to actually condemn the actions of what's going on in Palestine.
Even as he worries every minute for his family, Al-Tayeb still has some hope for calm.
My hope comes from my parents, my mom especially. She always knows how to not lose hope and believe that everything's going to be okay.
Hope for now, all he can hold on to until he sees his family again. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, the vaccine rollout has been a real turning point in the pandemic story, and Quebec is marking it with music. The soothing sounds of getting the shot and the musicians behind it. Plus,
I never want to do a dating show again.
2 Canadians find reality show fame in Finland, but do they find love? Their unique experience next.
welcome back. So picture the reality TV show The Bachelor. Now add Finland and farmers. That's the program a few Canadian men found themselves on looking for love. Bonnie Allen shows us whether they found what they were looking for.
When Matthew El Moussa was first asked to be on a reality TV dating show, he thought it might be a scam. But indeed, the single 40-year-old farm boy with Finnish ancestry was just what producers were looking for.
Hi. How are you?
The Finnish show, roughly translated as Farmer Wants a Wife in the World, was shot before the pandemic and just aired in Finland.
All these beautiful women of Finland, and now I'm looking forward to the chance to meet some of them.
If I don't do it, I'm always going to be wondering what would it be like, what would it have been like.
It was El Moussa's first trip to Finland, and he struggled to communicate. He doesn't speak Finnish. Still, he says his late parents, both proud Finns, would have been delighted.
I think my dad would really, I could just see him smiling.
This Halifax realtor who grew up speaking Finnish was also recruited for the show by a distant cousin. Calling him a farmer is a stretch, but...
we're in northern Ontario where I grew up.
Roy Risnan had plans before the pandemic to open a rural bed and breakfast with a Finnish theme.
I've also been, single for some time now, and I thought maybe it's time to meet a nice girl again.
As cameras rolled in Finland, they whittled down their choices to 3 each.
So ladies, who has been to Canada before?
Never.
Well, now you're going.
A week-long trip to Canada.
A little taste of Saskatchewan's winter weather.
It culminated in rejections and final selections.
My big takeaway from this experience is I never want to do a dating show again. I would never go back and say I wish I didn't do that, but I wish I would have put more thought into how emotionally difficult it would be.
Both of their romances ultimately fizzled, but their popularity exploded.
Am I going to be able to walk down the street if I ever go back?
I'm FIF, famous in Finland.
Both Canadians say they did fall in love, but with Finland and their heritage. Bonnie Allen, CBC News, Regina.
Such a great story. It has probably been a while since you attended a concert. Well, Quebec has you covered. A performance for a momentous occasion. Next. A lovely offering from some of Quebec's most talented musicians. It has been a while since they've played in public, but jazz and classical musicians in Quebec are picking up their instruments to play in the province's vaccination clinics, setting the mood in our moment.
It was a premiere for me too, for never played in the vaccination center. People are getting the vaccine, but there's also one part of the big hall where they're waiting for the 15 minutes after, and that's where they're having a concert. And we didn't know what to expect, so we just brought classical music, some pop music arrangements, some songs. People were just coming and asking, oh, what was this last piece? I really liked it. We played Every Breath You Take from The Police, and people ask it again. It was really nice also for the musician. and they have a glimpse of what will be the real life by having a real musician in front of them. And I think people really enjoy that.
Wow.
It is really calming.
Yeah.
And this isn't just one vaccination center. They intend to do this or are doing it in 20 different centers.
Yeah, well, what a fabulous idea. And this is a group that does this. So they're called La SAMS, La Société pour les Arts en Milieu de Santé, a group that specializes in bringing musicians together to perform in healthcare settings. What a wonderful idea. That's the National for this May 19th. Have a great night.
Good night.